वासुदेवाय।
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
ॐ नमो भगवते वासुदेवाय।
Mukam karoti vachalam pangam langhayatigirim yat kripatam ham vande Shri Guru Dinadaya. Namo Vishnu Krishna Prasad Parishmati Mahavishnu Shanti. Krishna Prasad Parishmati Bhaktivedanta Swami Name Namaste Saraswati Guru Vani Pracharini Vasisamani Prasad Desatarini. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Radha Shri Vishati Gauri. Hare Krishna. Okay, we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 4, the process of creation. And we are in text 24 today. I'll recite the verse 3 times and then we'll follow. Namastasmai Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedhase Vapurgyanam Ayam Saumya Yanmukham Buruhasavam. Namastasmai Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedhase Vapurgyanam Ayam Saumya Yanmukham Buruhasavam. Namastasmai Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedhase Vapurgyanam Ayam Saumya Yanmukham Buruhasavam. Hare Krishna. If anyone likes to chant.
नमस्तस्मै भगवते वासुदेवाय वेधसे वपुर्ज्ञानम् अयं सौम्या यन्मुखाम्बुरुहासवम्
नमस्तस्मै भगवते वासुदेवाय वेदसे पपुज्ञानम् अयं सौम्य यन्मुखाम्बुरुः हासवम्।
Thank you. David Prabhu, you want to try?
Hare Krishna. Namastasmai Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedase Papurgyanam Mayam Somya Yanmukam Buruhasavam. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. I don't know if Madhavi Korangi can.
Yeah, sure, Mataji. Hare Krishna. Namastasmai Bhagavate Vasudevaya Vedase Vapurgyanam Ayam Saumya Yanmukham Bhuru Hasvaham.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna. Thank you.
We'll go for the synonyms. That's all. Namaha, my obeisances. Tasmai, unto him. Bhagavate, unto the personality of Godhead. Vasudevaya, unto Vasudev or his incarnations. Vedhase, the compiler of the Vedic literatures. Papuhu, drunk. Jnanam, knowledge. Ayam, this Vedic knowledge. Samyaha, the devotees, especially the consorts of Lord Krishna. Yat, from whose. Mukhamburuha, the lotus-like mouth. Asavam, nectar from his mouth. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of Vasudev, who compiled the Vedic scriptures. The pure devotees drink up the nectarian transcendental knowledge dropping from the lotus-like mouth of the Lord. Purport. Purport. In persons of the specific utterance Vedhase, or the compiler of the system of transcendental knowledge, Srila Sridhar Swami has commented that the respectful obeisances are offered to Srila Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of Vasudeva. Srila Jiva Goswami has agreed to this, but Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur has made a further advance, namely that the nectar from the mouth of Lord Krishna is transferred to his different consorts, and thus They learned the finer arts of music, dance, dressing, decorations, and all such things which are relished by the Lord. Such music, dance, and decorations enjoyed by the Lord are certainly not anything mundane, because the Lord is addressed in the very beginning as para, or transcendental. This transcendental knowledge is unknown to the forgotten conditioned souls. Srila Vyasadeva, who is the incarnation of the Lord, thus compiled the Vedic literatures to revive the lost memory of the conditioned souls about their eternal relation with the Lord. One should therefore try to understand the Vedic scriptures, or the nectar transferred by the Lord to his consorts in the conjugal humor, from the lotus-like mouth of Vyasadeva or Sukadev. By gradual development of transcendental knowledge, one can rise to the stage of the transcendental arts of music and dance displayed by the Lord in his Rasa Leela. But without having the Vedic knowledge, one can hardly understand the transcendental nature of the Lord's rasa dance and music. The pure devotees of the Lord, however, can equally relish the nectar in the form of the profound philosophical discourses and in the form of kissing by the Lord in the rasa dance, as there is no mundane distinction between the two. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya Jnananjanasalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manovistam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamsa Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Visakhanvitamsa He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Sakatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanti Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Kripa Sindhubhyo Vacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity to glorify Srimad Bhagavatam and to purify myself. And before speaking on this verse, I would like to take the permission and blessings from all the assembled devotees here in Zoom land. Yeah. Vanchakalpatarishta kripasindhubhyo patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo. I'll read the translation once again. I offer my respectful obeisances unto Srila Vyasadeva, the incarnation of Vasudeva, who compiled the Vedic scriptures. The pure devotees drink up the nectarian transcendental knowledge dropping from the lotus-like mouth of the Lord. Hare Krishna. So, we saw till yesterday's verse, Sukadev Goswami was offering his prayers to Lord Krishna. It was long, like it's series of verses, this chapter. And today, he is offering his prayer to Vasudeva, the literary incarnation of Vasudeva. But when we see the structure of this verse today, we can see that he's offering his obeisances to Vasudeva in first line. He says, Namas Tasmai Bhagavate. So it doesn't say, it directly doesn't say Vyasadeva. And then in second stanza, he says, Vasudevaya Vedhase. Vasudevaya means Vasudeva or his incarnations, as Srila Prabhupada writes in the synonyms. And then Vedhase, to which Srila Prabhupada in his both synonym and translation indicates to Vyasadeva. That's why we're saying he's offering his prayers to Vyasadeva. But if we see like another verse from Canto 10, the meaning of same word, Vedase, is onto the origin of creation. So Vedase means the origin of creation, onto the origin of creation. It's a very nice verse. It's in 10:33, 10:33, sorry. And this is a proof that, like if we don't read the translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada, we get lost in these coded verses. The verses are very coded. We can't just understand by our own knowledge or by just reading. So we have to read, or we have to listen from the realized souls. And the translation and purport Srila Prabhupada gives, I don't have that word to explain. The main thing here is like, so just this example, the word Veda says, like, if we just see this translation, it says the compiler of Vedas in the word. I was going to say, like, we don't understand it, but Srila Prabhupada has done that detailed research or all those kind of background work to just spoon feed us. So when we see the Sanskrit grammar is very vast, we can't even get to 1%. So in the grammar, the word in Sanskrit it has multiple meanings. Like in English also, like same word can mean different meaning, or the meaning the sentence is trying to say according to where it is used and how it is used and the word after it. Like similarly here, Bapu say Srila Prabhupada in the word for word he wrote compiler of the Vedas, because the word after that he says in third stanza, Papu Gyanam Ayam. Gyanam Ayam. Ayam means this knowledge. So who is the knowledge is the creation of the knower, and who is that knower? Same thing again. The compiler of the knowledge or the compiler of Vedas is none other than Lord Sri Krishna, who is the origin of creation. So both in 10th canto and here also. So when we see in that way, it's coming same. Then third stanza, he says, Papu Jnanam Ayam Saumya. Saumya. The word Saumya here, and the word for Srila Prabhupada is the devotees. Right? And he says, especially the consorts of Lord Krishna. Right? Saumya is also a quality of a devotee in that 26 qualities of devotee, the peacefulness. Right? We don't see this word used many times, but we can see like another word in first canto, similar word like sabhya. There, I think the sages of Naini they were requesting Suta Goswami to speak, and then in one of the famous verses, they say sabhya, prayan alpayusa sabhya kalavasmin yugezana. That sabhya was for indicating Suta Goswami or the devotee. Suta Goswami. So here, Sukadev Goswami is using the word Saumya for devotees. And then the last line he says, Yan Mukham Guru Hasavam. Yan Mukha means his lotus-like mouth. Asavam is the nectar. Nectar coming from the lotus-like mouth. Mukham Guru Hasavam. And then Srila Prabhupada, himself, he does. And also tells us to read Srimad Bhagavatam very scrutinizingly. Right? Like not just reading. You have to read it scrutinizingly. Oh my God, I'm sorry. But the example is right here. He has quoted in the purport itself, for this one verse, he has quoted Sridhar Swami, Sri Jiva Goswami, and then Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur in his purport. That means no mental speculation. We're not allowed to have a mental speculation. And with this, we can see that he is literally spoon feeding us. That means like if we can just read the books by Srila Prabhupada, we don't have to like do more research and everything. If we can just read his books. And another thing he's saying here is like he's saying in the purport, he doesn't say like this means that, like that. He's saying not me, but Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he says, and then in the purport he writes, the nectar from the mouth of Lord Krishna is transferred to his different consorts, and thus they learn the finer arts of music, dance, dressing, decorations, and all such things which are realized by the Lord. Right? And but when we read only the Sanskrit verse straight, like the meaning comes like he's saying Namastasmai Vasudevaya, right? Namastasmai Bhagavate. So that means he is offering the obeisances to the personality of Godhead. But when we read the translation, there is Vasudev's name mentioned. Translation by Srila Prabhupada. But again, when we read his purport, he gives us another vision. Chakshudan Diluji. I mean, he gives another vision that, okay, it can be, that's how he mentions Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and saying, the nectar from the mouth of Lord Krishna is transferred to his different consorts. Like, when we say it, like, it's like how it came there. You're saying, offering obeisances to Bhagavate, and then he says, okay, Vedase, linking to the compiler of Vedas, and then now in purport, he's linking Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur and linking Rasa Leela in there, right? I mean, it's a nice coincidence today. Anyway, today is Purnima, right? Krishna Rasa Yatra or the Rasa Leela night. And but I mean, like, are we seeing the connection here? First, he said the meaning of Mukhamburu Hasavam, the nectar from the lotus-like mouth, is Gyanam. I am Gyanam. That means this knowledge. And now when we read the purport, he's referring Mukhamburu Hasavam to the Rasa Leela. So, I mean, I remember, like, when we said Rasa Leela, I remember when we were doing Vrindavan Yatra in 2015, the Brajavasis used to, they would cook kheer, rice pudding, on tonight, and they'll keep it outside on their rooftops, because the Lord and his gopis friends will be dancing all night, so they need some snacks overnight. So they put that on their rooftops or outside, and then next morning they will distribute it as prasadam. And and there is a whole chapter on Rasa Leela and the introduction to Rasa Leela, something like that, in chapter 29 of Krishna book. It's a very good read. Anyway, the point we're talking about here is the transferring of the knowledge. Here, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur is making a point that just by kissing, he's not saying like Krishna is making all those gopis to like learn how to do that, how to dress, how to do this, no. He says just by kissing, the gopis learn all kinds of fine arts to please him. Right? So just to name a few, like not all the gopis, like we can just name 8 principal gopis. Right? Can you name 8 principal gopis, Mother Vindhyavali? Try. You know some. You're muted. I can't. Laita, Visakha. Okay, anyway. So just to name a few of these 8 gopis, and
Indulekha Chitra Bhadra. Indulekha Chitra Bhadra Lalita Vishakha Tungabhadra. Tungvidya. How many I did? Chitra, Indulekha, Tungvidya, Lalita, Vishakha. My son knows all, actually. So, how many? Bhadra also is one of them. Champaklata. Champaklata. Yes, Champaklata. Champaklata. Yes, maybe. Yeah, 6 we have done. Okay, so
Chitra
yeah,
did we
Ranga
say
Devi. Yes, Ranga Devi. Yes, Ranga Devi is one of them too.
Devi?
Indu Lekha we described already. Yes, yeah. And there is very good description of each gopi Jeev Goswami has given what their duties were.
Yeah.
So, Hari Bol.
Thank you, Madhvi. Yeah, so just to name a few, like Bisakha Devi was very expert in mridanga, playing mridanga. Tungavidya was very expert in that string veena, to play veena, right? And then Champaklata was expert in collecting fruits and flowers and roots, and also expert in making the logical persuasion. I mean, means when there is they have their party like to serve Lord. So she was very skillful in dealing with the rival party. And then Chitra Devi was very expert in palmistry, is very expert in palmistry and also in making various kinds of, rasas, I mean, beverages, like drinks. And Indulekha in weaving garments and making ornaments. And Sudevi, I was remembering Mother Sudevi when I was reading this. She was very expert in training the parrots, the male parrot and female parrots, to take the message here and there. And not to speak about their decorating, dancing, and singing skills, right? And similarly, we can also think of Dhruva Maharaj, who offered such wonderful prayers after being touched by the Lord with his conch shell on his head, right? He was like stunned, or he couldn't speak anything when he saw Lord before him. So Lord Narayana touched his head with his conch shell, and then he could speak and offer that prayer, nice prayer. Right? So I mean, I was trying to remember another pasta, but I can't. So that means it will not be easy for us to understand that such transcendental dealings between the Lord and his devotees. Srila Prabhupada in his purport again, he rightly says, this transcendental knowledge is unknown to the forgotten conditioned souls, like us. Srila Vasudev, who is the incarnation of the Lord, thus compiled the Vedic literatures to revive the lost memory of the conditioned souls about their eternal relation with the Lord. And in today's verse, is very clearly emphasizing the importance of disciplic succession also, right? That's why he mentions Vyasadeva. And so I think in the purport again, he says, but without having, no, one should therefore try to understand the Vedic scriptures or the nectar transferred by the Lord to his consorts in the conjugal humor from the lotus-like mouth of Vyasadeva or Sukadev. That means the disciplic succession. By gradual development of transcendental knowledge, one can rise to the stage of the transcendental arts of music and dance displayed by the Lord in his Rasa Leela. So if we start going about disciplic succession, it's a whole big topic. But I mean, the origin here is Lord Krishna. So he can directly give it if he's merciful enough. I mean, he is merciful to us. He can directly give us that knowledge also, or he has his representatives in this disciplic succession, right, to pass on to that. And let's finish Prabhupada's purport again. Srila Prabhupada in the purport again says, but without having the Vedic knowledge, one can hardly understand the transcendental nature of the Lord's rasa dance and music. The pure devotees of the Lord, however, can equally relish the nectar in the form of the profound philosophical discourses and in the form of kissing by the Lord in the rasa dance. as there is no mundane distinction between the two. It's very deep. Since it is Bhisma Panchak last day also, and this lines Srila Prabhupada wrote at the last actually reminded me to remember Bhisma Dev. Like, not going back to all the story, but we can remember, like, when Bhisma Dev on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, there was 18-day long fight, right? So on the 9th, somewhere it says 9 and somewhere it says 10th, but that 10th day battle, the I have to say, sorry, you have to tolerate me. The night before, what happens, like, Duryodhan gets so mad at Bhismadev that the war is going so many days, it's still going on, and nothing is, like, the Pandavas are not being, they are still strong enough. So he goes to Bhismadev and he tries to emotionally hurt him, right? So he says, like, what are you doing? Like, they are your favorite grandchildren. That's why you're not doing anything, kind of all those words. And so Bhismadev, like, he tries to, I mean, he tries to be obedient, sincere, or whatever to the king, like to the king, as he promised before to his mother and something, right? So he says, like, no, tomorrow morning, I have this special 5 arrows that I'm going to kill them tomorrow morning. You'll see. So he tells Duryodhan. And then Duryodhan he gets a little skeptical, and he's like, can I keep those arrows? You never know. Something might happen. So Duryodhan takes that arrow. So everyone knows the story. I'm just trying to make the connection here. And what happens? Krishna is the Janardhan. He knows everyone's heart. He knows everything. So he tells Arjun, let's go to Duryodhan. It's time to ask for your favor now, because he did favor to Duryodhan once when he was not kidnapped by kind of, he was entrapped with the Gandharvas. So Arjuna goes to see Duryodhan, and as a courtesy, Duryodhan invites him, like, okay, asking, do you want to start this war? And all those things. I'm not going in detail. And he says, no, I just came to ask for you the thing that you told me to, you can ask anytime. Like, yeah, ask anytime. If you want me to stop war, I can stop, kind of that thing. And then he says, no, I just want that 5 arrows you got from Bhismadev. And then Duryodhan couldn't say no, because that was the Kshatriya spirit. When you give word, you keep it. And so he takes that 5 arrows back, and then next morning Bhismadev comes, like, give me that 5 arrows now, I'm going to end the war, kind of. And Duryodhan was like, Arjuna came last night, so I had to give it. And then Vishnudev smiles and he says, like, it's not Arjuna, it's Krishna. Like, he knew. And then he says that he promises now there, like, okay, like, Krishna, now I'll make Krishna break his promise, or I'm going to kill Arjuna, kind of that kind of thing. So, and then in the war, Bhismadev starts fighting so valiantly that he throws so many arrows to Arjuna. Like, even Krishna, the arrows were, I mean, Arjuna couldn't kind of stand. Like, he was like losing. And when Krishna says that, like, Arjuna was like, oh, like, getting weaker, and Bhismadev was like shooting arrow after arrow. Like, he couldn't stand it. And then he gets, even though he promised before, right? He promised that he will not take part in the war. He will just be the charioteer for Arjun. But this point of time, he couldn't hold himself. And then what he does? He gets down, takes the wheel of a chariot, and runs towards Bhismadev to kill him. Like, he was that mad. And then Bhismadev was throwing arrows, and Krishna was also getting hurt. Like, blood was everywhere. Right? And it's in detail in the 9th chapter of first canto, where Bhismadev, when he was lying, I mean, it is after, sorry, I mean, these all things Bhismadev is recalling when he is lying on the bed of arrows, right? After the 10th day of war, he's lying on the that bed of arrows, and and then he's waiting for the death. And then that is the time when all the sages and rishi munis, uh, all those, even Sukadev Goswami, it is said in that ninth chapter, even Sukadev Goswami with his disciples went there to see Bhismadev passing away. So like Narada Muni, Parvat Muni, Dhamya Rishi, like so many names are there. So they all come to see Bhismadev passing away. And then Pandavas also come along with Lord Krishna. And then when he starts talking, he first starts like, oh, Pandavas, like how many troubles you went through. And then in the second verse, he says like, he remembers, oh, my daughter-in-law, Kunti, like how much troubles he went, like when, uh, like, Pandu Maharaj passed away, and then she suffered with all you kids, 5 kids, and then again, what happened? He says that with her actions, she got more trouble, she got more sufferings, and then he remembers. Bhisma Devi is remembering Krishna as Arjuna's friend fighting in the battlefield, and he says in one of the verse, uh, uh, Krishna, that Krishna, he's referring to that Krishna. I mean, Krishna is in front of him, but he's remembering that Krishna with his hair flowing, which had turned ashen, like his hair flowing, but because of the dust of that battlefield, the hair was all like kind of white, ashen. And then he says his body was smeared with blood. And he's saying he had that whip in his right hand, and the what was that? A bridle rope on his left hand, in one verse. And immediately after that verse, you can imagine like someone standing there, like Krishna with blood everywhere, the hair with all those dust, and then right hand, he has a whip for the horses, right, and the bridle rope to control the horses in his left hand. And immediately after that, he offers another prayer. Till this offering, he was remembering Lord in relation to Arjuna, right? And now he switches to even higher and says, I will read that. It is very nice one. Okay, here. By the grace of the Lord, Arjuna was fortunate. I'm reading from the purport actually, from this verse. The purport, Srila Prabhupada writes, by the grace of Lord, Arjuna was fortunate enough to have the fraternal service of the Lord as chariot driver. But the Lord did not award Arjuna with equal strength. Point to be noted, equal strength. The gopis, however, practically became one with the Lord by attainment of equal footing with the Lord. And Bhismadev says, let my mind be fixed upon Lord Sri Krishna, whose motions and smiles of love attracted the damsels of Brajadham, the gopis. The damsels imitated the characteristic movements of the Lord after his disappearance from the Rasa dance. So immediately after the Kurukshetra, he is remembering Lord with his gopi friends. Right? This is an example for Srila Prabhupada's last line in the purport, where he says, the pure devotees of the Lord, however, can equally relish the nectar in the form of the profound philosophical discourses and in the form of kissing by the Lord in the rasa dance, as there is no mundane distinction between the two. So I thought it was a very good example of both of this. Like there is no mundane distinction between the two. And we have our own Srila Prabhupada as a live example. Like as far we know, like he never publicly, or I mean, he never mentioned in detail about Rasa Leela or anything. But we can see that enthusiasm with what Srila Prabhupada was like. He could like rest few hours, and then at 1 a.m. or 10 p.m., 1 a.m., like you'll start writing Srimad Bhagavatam. If you don't have that energy, if you don't have that enthusiasm, right? And that feeling of compassion, the feeling of urgency, we cannot do that. No one. So Srila Prabhupada like he didn't have any difference between that Rasa Leela and or the profound philosophical discussion. He was writing that for benefit of the humankind to follow, like us, the forgotten conditioned souls. Right? And I was trying to find something Srila Prabhupada said about Rasa Leela, right? But nothing there. But one time, his disciple Upendra Prabhu, he had asked him to how to celebrate Rasa Leela, kind of a question. And to that, Srila Prabhupada wrote him a letter back to his reply. Let me share the screen, and I will want, let's see, one second. Let me share the screen. David, were you okay to read the letter? I will share right now. So, okay. And can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
You have to scroll it up.
1 second, my screen is acting weird. This is November 13, 1968. Okay, is it big enough for you to read?
Yes, yes.
Is David Prabhu reading it?
He can read, yes.
Hare Krishna. You would like me to read?
Yeah.
Okay. Hare Krishna. My dear Upendra, please accept my blessings. I am in due receipt of your nice letter of November 7, 1968, and thank you very much for it. Regarding your question, Shyamrupa means the original form. Shyam Prakash means Balaram, and Tadekat Marupa is Purush, just like Mahavishnu. It is not necessary to remember or fully understand all these different forms at the present, but it is like if you simply stick to the master faithfully, that is very good. But if you know that my master is so great and so rich and great in this way and rich in this way and that way, then your veneration for your master will increase. To know Krishna is great. How he expanded into different forms, that enhances our attachment to Krishna more rigidly. You ask about the desire for fame. Fame is a material desire, but to desire fame in Krishna consciousness is not bad. If you think that people may know me as a great devotee of Krishna, that they may acknowledge me a nice devotee of Krishna, that is not at all bad. But even one is highly elevated in Krishna consciousness, he should not think of himself as a great devotee. He should think of himself always humble. You can celebrate Rasa Leela by having nice kirtan and prasadam distribution. That is our way of celebrating. Your question: when one has become pure enough, Krishna conscious, does one take regular dictation from one's Guru Maharaj? I know you to confirm yes, but how is this so? Understand that each individual has a certain particular ras with Krishna. How would one relate with another soul of a different ras, especially between that of Guru and disciple? That doesn't matter. The spiritual master's position is to train the disciples. Just like a teacher, he may be a very expert mathematician, but in the lower class, he is... Can't see that. Could you scroll up a little bit? Thank you. He is teaching English. The spiritual master's duty is to train him, but when he comes to the perfectional stage of training, then he realizes his position. That is not a gift. That is not a gift of the spiritual master. The spiritual master helps him to realize his relationship with the Lord. Just like the student in lower stages has to study so many things as preliminary education, English, history, math, etc. But in higher stage of education, he has got a particular taste for a special subject. So he specializes as a mathematician or a historian, etc. So that special qualification reveals the higher stage. So these topics are not to be discussed in the conditioned stage. And when we come to the liberated stage, we can understand. This is useless talks in the preliminary stage. In the beginning, let us do the preliminary routine work very nicely and be cured of the disease out of Maya. Then we can know what taste you have for what particular type of food. So these things are not to be discussed at the present moment. Yes, you can pray to Krishna. Krishna may be prayed that I am unwilling to become Krishna conscious, so you can force me to become so. You put me under certain circumstances so that I may be forced to accept Krishna consciousness. You can pray like that. It is Krishna's special favor and mercy that he sometimes forces a devotee to surrender fully to him. Hoping you are well, your ever well-wisher, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami. Hare Krishna.
Thank you so much. Very good. So with that, actually, I would like to stop here. And if there is any correction or any feedback, please. Hare Krishna Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna
Yes,
Prabhupada.
please accept my humble obeisances. All glory to Srila Prabhupada.
Jai.
Very, very nice lecture. No questions. I just have a couple of takeaways from this lessons learned. One is one comment that you made, and then the other one's in the letter to Upendra. The comment that you made me think about the need for enthusiasm. How you mentioned Srila Prabhupada, how he was so motivated because of what he needed to do with the writing of the literatures and explaining the Vedas, and that caused him to get up so early in the morning and be on it, writing every day, very, very seriously. That kind of commitment, if I had that kind of commitment, I'd be doing very well. But you have to be very, very motivated. So that example just reminding me again the need to be extremely motivated in Krishna consciousness. And the example in the letter that Srila Prabhupada gave, the analogy that he gave to answer Upenda's question, that we have to start the preliminary things, just like anybody that goes to school does a preliminary. And then later on, the specialized subject, which is narrowed down to a subject, and then the higher knowledge from that particular subject is being explained. Very, very, very nice to wish you Prabhupada. That example, I absolutely loved it because it just tells us, to accept the fact that we're at the preliminary stage. And
Yes.
things, so people who ask questions like, what's my Siddha Swarup? What do I look like in the spiritual world? Well, you're not at that advanced stage yet. So don't worry about that. And just, to remind me, keep with the basic things and do what the spiritual masters asked to do, and Krishna will give you mercy. And later on, you become whatever you will become. They know in the spiritual world. You don't have to worry about it. The advanced stuff. So those are the things that I picked up from this lecture. Very nice lecture. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. David Prabhu, I saw your hand raised.
Yes, Hare Krishna. Thank you. Thank you for that letter too, because actually it's just you're kind of just delivering to me what I needed to hear from Krishna and from Srila Prabhupada. I've been trying to I've been thinking far ahead in my head, and that's just a helpful reminder that I need to get back to basics and stay with the basics for right now. Thank you very much, Hare Krishna.
That's why the Srila Prabhupada is focusing so much for us on the four regulatory principles and chanting 16 rounds, minimum 16 rounds. It's like when we think of it, like when we start Krishna consciousness journey, like when we come, the first thing we learn is the chant. right? And as with the long passing years, also we can see all those like Senior Buddhism, Prabhupada, disciples, like the chanting is always there. That means we are still trying to, like, from the day one we enter the Krishna consciousness, we start chanting, and like all those years we strive to chant attentively. I mean, focusing on chanting. And Srila Prabhupada, we have seen like so many quotes. Srila Prabhupada has emphasized on the attentive chanting, hearing and chanting. Right, so thank you. Anyone? Additional points? Thought Mother Vindavali was speaking, but you're muted.
Yeah, can you send me those Radha Rani Sakis names and then what they did?
Yeah, it's
I-
very
I'm
Okay.
curious about that. Please.
I will send it.
Thank you. It was a very nice class, and it's a lot of things to know. And about that letter, like Bhakti David said, that was also.
Yeah. There are so many, like Srila Prabhupada was requested by one of the life member when, I don't remember, it's in India, but so the life member was requesting Srila Prabhupada. We just read in Lila Amrit that he requests, like, Swamiji, can you tell us something more about, can you tell us about Rasa Leela? And then Srila Prabhupada says, you may be qualified to hear it, but I'm not qualified to speak on it.
That's very good.
That's his humility.
That's true.
But he was already in Rasa Leela Bhav. That's why he was like Parikshit Prabhu was mentioning, like he was waking up all night. Because he was in that Gopi Bhav. Gopi Bhav is like to distribute it and not to keep yourself. He could have stayed in Radha Damodar Mandir in Vrindavan, right? Why would he have to travel 1 month and that getting heart attack and everything and coming in Tuta with just cereal, a little bit of cereal? For whom he was coming, he didn't have any son, daughter, anyone in US. He just came, like, he didn't know random. He just came in. He knew that these people are suffering. So he suffered for all of us.
Nobody
He
can
came
grow
here.
like that.
Yeah, that is the Gopi Bhav Srila Prabhupada was having. But he said he was never qualified to speak on Rasa Leela or in Gopi Bhav. Okay. Hare Krishna. It's very detailed. Yeah. And the main point today is like the disciplic succession, actually. That's why Sukadeva Goswami is offering his prayers to Vasudev. Right? That's preliminary stage.
Very good.
Okay. I think okay, Mother Sovarade.
No, I just wanted to add that everything is so systematic and orderly. In all the, all people who are trying to be spiritual and follow other gurus or other, they're also trying to do the right thing. But everything is so haphazard, a little bit here, a little bit there, a little bit. I see so many of our relatives are following some path, but it's like, it's not organized. But here, Srila Prabhupada, the way he has instructed, it is so organized and so systematic. And there are no gaps, I feel. At least that's how I am feeling. And, I did not know much, so there was a lot for me to learn. But everything is, in order. You do this first, you do this, and don't jump. And that instruction to not jump to the 10th canto is emphasized. You hear it all the time. And I'm just so grateful. When I started attending these classes, in the beginning, we were on the 9th canto, and it just then moved into the 10th canto. And I felt like I was driving at 60 miles an hour. And then Drona Prabhu came and he said, I think we will switch to first canto because we should go in order. Because most people at that time were like me, who had not gone from the first canto. They joined because Zoom classes were starting then. So a lot of people were joining, and very wisely they decided that it should be moved back to first canto because everybody was so. And I was like, oh my goodness, like I was, driving at 60 and I felt like the car stopped. It came to a sudden stop, but I realize now how important that is. And, I'm so grateful that we have started back at the first canto. And my point here is, Prabhupada was so systematic in instructing us on how to do it. Had we not done it, we would also be haphazard like all the other groups. They go a little bit here, a little bit there, little impersonalism. Even in impersonalism, I feel they are not fully understanding it. They're just, and mostly materialistic, mostly pray so that you can get a house, pray so that you can get a wife, pray that you can get this. So it's just everything is included. It's such a hodgepodge. So very, very grateful to Srila Prabhupada for everything.
Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, Srila Prabhupada.
Yeah, when you were saying that, I was remembering, we were just reading Bhagavad Gita in 6th chapter, verse 20 to 23. He mentions about all those kinds of Patanjali and all those Hatha Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, Jnana Yoga, right? And then he says like, but there was this, I can't remember the whole line exact, but it is somewhat like he said, but the devotees in Krishna consciousness tries to engage in devotional service so that they can, what is that word? They can best use of the bad bargain. Yeah. Yeah. Everything. Srila Prabhupada has literally, I don't know what to say. Words.
Very fortunate.
Yeah.
Bottom line is we're very fortunate to have.
Yes, very fortunate to have Srila Prabhupada.
So that Srila Prabhupada, who explained it in very basic language and repeated so many basic important things throughout. There's one guru, if I may throw that side thing, one of our initiating gurus that made mention to me directly to give a class in Pennsylvania. Then he said, actually, I learned Sanskrit just by listening to Srila Prabhupada's lectures. Because he says a word and he explains it, says one and he explains it. And then the slokas that he repeats a lot, I learned that, and that's how I preach. It's like that. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes. Thank you, Prabhu. We understand. We're learning Bengali too. From Srila Prabhupada. Okay, I think is that all for today? And
yeah, I don't have any announcements. We will meet tomorrow morning at 7:50 again. Thank you again, Mother Syamagori.
thank you so much.
Krishna.
Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhyev
Fascinating.
Dhanam. Thank you very much. Please send me that thing.
I will.
I'm so curious about it.
Yes,
I could answer this word when you said. I want to. Thank you. Thanks a lot.